alien claimed they'd survived Earth's predators. She smiled and said, "It's just a pet." The sleek corridors of Argus Station hummed with a low, constant vibration, orbiting a distant star in neutral space. This diplomatic hub served as a meeting ground for 12 alien species. Holographic displays flickered along the walls, projecting streams of data and various scripts. Alien voices overlapped in a babel of clicks, hums, and guttural tones. Amid the crowd, Marshal Korv strode forward, his 2-meter frame towering over most. Blue-black scales gleamed under the artificial lights, a facial scar twisting his expression into permanent defiance. He led a small group of Skarrith warriors, their armored boots clanging against the metal floor. Korv raised his voice in the central chamber, addressing a cluster of diplomats from across the galaxy. "We have conquered the death world Terra," he declared, his tone booming with pride. Heads turned, some with curiosity, others with skepticism. He gestured broadly, his clawed hands emphasizing each word. Our warriors faced its horrors and emerged victorious. The beasts there are unlike any in known space. One diplomat, a slender being with iridescent skin, leaned in. "Beasts? Tell us more, Marshal." Korv's eyes narrowed, savoring the attention. Fierce creatures with sharp fangs and relentless hunger. Dogs that hunt in packs. Cats that strike from shadows. Seals that command the waters with brutal force. We tamed them all, bending their will to ours. Terra is no longer a threat, but a trophy for the Skarrith Empire. Murmurs rippled through the group. Some nodded in awe, impressed by the bravado. Others exchanged glances, questioning the claim. Ambassador Avery Reed stood at the edge of the circle, his salt and pepper hair neatly combed, suit crisp despite the station's recycled air. At 50, he carried himself with calm authority, his sharp eyes missing nothing. He stepped forward, his voice polite but edged with sarcasm. "Marshal Korv, your tale is impressive, but allow me to clarify a few details about Terra, or as we call it, Earth." Korv turned, sizing up the human. "Clarify? What more is there? We saw the savagery firsthand." Reed smiled faintly, pulling up a holographic tablet. Data scrolled across its surface. "Earth hosts 8 billion humans, Marshal. We're not just survivors on a hostile rock. Those beasts you mentioned, dogs, cats, seals, they're pets, companions we keep in our homes, not enemies to conquer." The chamber fell quiet. Korv's scales rippled in confusion. "Pets? Impossible. We fought them." "Perhaps a misunderstanding," Reed replied, his tone steady. "Your scouts likely encountered strays or wildlife, but to call Earth conquered, that's a bold claim, one that could spark unnecessary tensions among our allies here." Korv growled low, but curiosity flickered in his eyes. He crossed his arms, warriors Rix and Jash flanking him silently. Rix, broad-shouldered and eager, shifted uneasily. Jash, more reserved, scanned the room for threats. "What do you propose, human? A challenge?" Reed's mind raced. He felt the weight of it all, the fragile threads of interstellar peace. One wrong word, and alliances could shatter, dragging species into conflict. He pushed the thought aside, focusing. "Not a challenge, Marshal. An opportunity. A cultural exchange program. Come to Earth. See for yourself. Experience our world, our ways. It could prevent a diplomatic crisis and foster understanding." Korv hesitated, his scar twitching. Arrogance warred with intrigue. Expecting a savage planet ripe for tales of glory, he saw potential in this. "Very well. We accept. But know this, Ambassador. If Terra proves as weak as you imply, the Skarrith will not hesitate to claim it properly. Reed nodded, hiding his relief. Excellent. We'll arrange transport immediately. The Skarrith delegation moved toward the docking bays, Rix and Jash murmuring among themselves. Pets? Rix whispered. What trickery is this? Jash shrugged. We'll see soon enough. Argus Station continued its hum. Holographic displays shifting to new agendas. Alien languages filled the air. A reminder of the fragile neutrality. Reed watched them go, his sarcasm giving way to quiet resolve. The cultural clash was just beginning, a satirical dance of egos and revelations. Korv's bombast echoed in his mind, a stark contrast to Earth's subtle strengths. As the group boarded their shuttle, the station's lights dimmed slightly, casting long shadows. The journey to Earth promised more than words. It would expose truths neither side fully anticipated. In the shuttle's confines, Korv settled into his seat, staring at the stars. Humans think themselves clever, he muttered. Rix chuckled nervously. We'll show them what real warriors are made of. Reed, back in his quarters, reviewed the itinerary. Brookhaven awaited, with its green lawns and everyday wonders. He allowed a small smile. The real conquest was an understanding, not claws. The shuttle detached, engines thrumming softly, space folded around them, pulling toward Sol's system. Korv's arrogance lingered in the air, but seeds of doubt had been planted. Earth loomed, ready to rewrite the narrative. The shuttle descended through Earth's atmosphere, clouds parting to reveal the patchwork of Brookhaven below, a suburb of 2,000 souls. It sprawled in orderly grids of green lawns and white picket fences. The Skarrith delegation, Korv, Rix, and Jash, peered through the viewport, their scales glinting under the cabin's lights. Korv's scar twitched as he surveyed the scene, expecting chaos or danger. Instead, he saw children biking on sidewalks and sprinklers ticking lazily in the morning sun. Professor Naomi Park greeted them at the landing pad, her tall frame and round glasses giving her an air of quiet enthusiasm. Welcome to Earth, she said, her voice warm, almost musical. Today's a cultural tour. We'll start with something simple, a community barbecue. Korv snorted, unimpressed, but followed, his warriors trailing close. Rix's eyes darted, scanning for threats, while Jash's posture softened. Intrigued by the calm, they arrived at Caleb Brooks's house, a modest 2-story home with a sprawling backyard. Smoke curled from a grill, carrying the scent of charred meat. Caleb, a broad-shouldered man with a booming laugh, waved them over. Hey, folks, grab a plate. His golden retriever, Rusty, bounded forward, tail wagging furiously. The dog leapt at Rix, licking his clawed hand. Rix flinched, scales bristling, expecting an attack. It's friendly? He muttered, glancing at Korv. Caleb chuckled, ruffling Rusty's fur. Friendly? This guy's a big softy. Loves everyone? Korv stared, his worldview tilting. These were the beasts he'd boasted of taming? A dog chasing a tennis ball across the grass? Neighbors mingled, plates piled with burgers and corn. Mrs. Doyle, a wiry 70-year-old with a gentle smile, approached, leaning on a cane. Heard you met our wildlife, she said, eyes twinkling. Back in my day, I chased a moose off my porch with a stick. Big fella, but he ran. Korv blinked, trying to picture this frail woman facing a creature larger than himself. Rix, standing nearby, felt a prickle of unease. If old humans could fend off giants, what else had they underestimated? Ms. Celine, a soft-spoken woman in her 30s, joined them, cradling a black cat named Midnight. The feline's green eyes locked onto Jash's swaying tail, and with a playful swipe, it batted the scales. Jash yelped, prompting laughter from the crowd. "He's just playing," Celine said, scooping up Midnight. "Loves anything that moves." Jash forced a smile, his claws flexing instinctively, but the human's ease unsettled him. Naomi stepped in, her voice cutting through the chatter. "Pets aren't threats. They're companions. We build trust with them, not dominance." She gestured to Rusty, now sprawled at Caleb's feet, and Midnight, purring in Celine's arms. Korv's expression remained skeptical, but a flicker of doubt crossed his face. On Skarrith worlds, creatures were either predators or prey. This human bond defied his logic. The barbecue hummed with life, kids running, music playing softly, dogs barking at a tossed frisbee. Rix watched, his warrior instincts screaming for danger that never came. Every laugh, every casual touch between human and animal gnawed at his assumptions. These tamed predators weren't subdued. They were family. He glanced at Korv, wondering if his leader felt the same disquiet. Naomi led the group to a shaded table, offering lemonade. "This is how we live," she said, her tone earnest. "Not fighting to survive, but building connections." Korv sipped the drink, grimacing at its sweetness, but didn't argue. Jash leaned closer to Naomi. "You don't fear these creatures?" he asked, eyeing Rusty warily. Naomi smiled. "Fear's natural. We learn to understand instead of destroy." The sun climbed higher, casting dappled shadows through the trees. Caleb fired up the grill again, joking about teaching Korv to flip burgers. The Skarrith leader grunted, still proud, but the casual warmth of Brookhaven chipped at his armor. Rix and Jash exchanged looks, their militaristic lens cracking under the weight of this strange, gentle world. As the group prepared to leave, Naomi outlined the next stop, the Institute of Natural Worlds. "You'll see how we teach our young about Earth's ecosystems," she said, her glasses catching the light. Korv nodded curtly, but his mind churned. If humans treated beasts as kin, what else had he misjudged? They piled into a transport, the hum of its engine blending with the distant bark of dogs. Brookhaven receded, its normalcy a stark contrast to the Skarrith's expectations of a savage planet. Korv stared out the window, his scar twitching again. The day's warmth lingered, but a faint haze on the horizon hinted at something more. A challenge Earth would soon reveal. The transport glided along Brookhaven's winding roads, leaving the barbecue's smoky haze behind. Naomi Park adjusted her glasses, pointing out landmarks as they approached the Institute of Natural Worlds. The campus sprawled across rolling hills, buildings clustered like a small city dedicated to Earth's secrets. Glass domes housed simulated ecosystems, and pathways wound through gardens buzzing with life. Korv sat rigid, his blue-black scales reflecting the passing scenery. Rix and Jash exchanged glances, still processing the suburb's casual vibe. Naomi led them inside, her steps light and eager. "This is where we study Earth's ecosystems," she said, her voice carrying a lecturer's warmth. "We've identified about 1.8 million species so far, each part of a delicate web." Holographic exhibits lit up as they entered the main hall, projecting images of forests, oceans, and deserts. Animals flickered in mid-motion, elephants trumpeting, birds in flight. A group of Brookhaven children clustered around an interactive station, their laughter echoing off the walls. They played a game on glowing screens identifying dangerous animals from flashcards. "That's a rattlesnake," one boy shouted, tapping the image. "Venomous, but we avoid its habitat." A girl nodded. "Sharks? Apex in water, but humans dive with them safely." The kids moved with confidence, no hint of fear in their eyes. Korv stopped, his towering frame casting a shadow over the group. He watched, stunned. On Skarrith worlds, young ones learned to kill threats, not coexist. "You teach them to live among dangers?" he asked, his voice gruff but curious. Naomi smiled. "Exactly. Knowledge turns fear into respect." Jash, drawn in, knelt beside a child. "How do you not fear these creatures?" he asked, pointing to a holographic shark. The child shrugged, messy hair falling over his eyes. "You just learn what's safe. Like, don't poke a snake, right?" Jash's scales rippled in surprise. Simple wisdom from a tiny human. Naomi guided them deeper, sharing more. "Humans have cataloged 80% of Earth's species. We manage this biosphere, balancing needs." She activated a display showing interconnected webs, predators, prey, plants. "It's not about dominance, it's stewardship," the Skarrith murmured among themselves. Rix felt his view shifting. Humans weren't just survivors, but architects of their world. Korv crossed his arms, scar pulling tight. "Impressive data," he admitted, though his tone held skepticism. The hall's glow bathed them in soft light. Holographic wildlife swirling like living art. It blended science with wonder. Far cry from Skarrith's stark training halls. As they wandered, Naomi paused at an exhibit on extinction events. "We've faced mass die-offs, but we adapt, restore what we can." Jash nodded slowly, his earlier awe deepening. Rix glanced at Korv, seeing cracks in the Marshal's pride. The group moved to an outdoor pavilion where more children practiced field identification. Birds chirped overhead, real ones mixing with the holograms. "See that eagle?" Naomi pointed. "Predator, but protected." Korv watched it soar, his mind churning. Humans taught harmony, not conquest. Jash whispered to Rix. "Their young face the world head on. No hiding." Rix agreed silently, his unease from Brookhaven evolving into respect. Naomi wrapped up the tour with a question. "Any thoughts?" Korv grunted. "Your ways are unexpected." His warriors echoed the sentiment, their militaristic lens bending under the weight of facts. As the sun dipped lower, casting golden hues over the campus, Naomi suggested the next stop. Haven Wildlife Center. "You'll see our work in action." Korv nodded, curiosity overriding doubt. The transport awaited, engine humming softly. They boarded, the institute fading behind. Rix stared out, pondering the children's games. Jash leaned back, scales relaxed for the first time. Korv remained silent, processing. Earth's lessons built steadily, each revelation chipping at old beliefs. Distant smoke lingered on the horizon, unnoticed yet. The air grew warmer, a subtle shift. Naomi chatted lightly about wildlife rehab, her passion infectious. The Skarrith listened, their questions growing more genuine. The road curved toward Haven, trees thickening along the way. Korv's scar itched, a sign of change. Humans manage chaos with knowledge, not claws. The thought unsettled him, but intrigue pulled him stronger. As they neared the center, Alvarez's facility loomed, rustic yet advanced. The day's pace held steady, respect for human ingenuity mounting in the aliens' minds. The transport wound through denser woods, the air thickening with the scent of pine and earth. Haven Wildlife Center emerged at the end of a gravel road. a 500-acre sanctuary blending rustic enclosures with sleek monitoring towers. Fences hummed faintly with energy fields, keeping animals secure while allowing natural movement. Dr. Miguel Alvarez waited at the gate, his sturdy build and disheveled blouse speaking of long hours in the field. He carried a tablet, fingers tapping screens as he approached. "Welcome," Alvarez said, his voice brief and commanding. "I'm Dr. Alvarez. We'll tour the rehab areas." Naomi nodded, falling into step beside him. Korv eyed the setup warily, his warriors close behind. Rix scanned the tree line, instincts alert, while Jash's curiosity piqued. Alvarez led them to the wolf pens first. Gray forms paced inside, eyes sharp and alert. "These are predators," he explained, pointing to a scarred alpha. "Injured in traps or accidents. We heal them, then release." Korv scoffed, crossing his arms. "Why not kill them? On our worlds, threats are eliminated." Alvarez met his gaze steadily. "We don't destroy what we can save. Balance the ecosystem." A wolf with a bandaged leg limped forward, nuzzling Alvarez's outstretched hand through the fence. Rix stepped back, startled, his scales flaring. Jash stared, awe flickering in his eyes. How did humans earn such trust from killers? Naomi chimed in, her tone enthusiastic. "We've restored 20% of endangered species in the last century. Science and care combined." She gestured to nearby bears lumbering in a shaded enclosure, their massive paws swatting at enrichment toys. Alvarez nodded. "Mountain lions next. Solitary hunters. But we rehab them too," Korv muttered under his breath. Skarrith would never coddle predators. His voice wavered, though, as he watched a lion stretch lazily in the sun. Jash felt a surge of wonder. Humans balanced compassion with survival in ways his people never considered. It challenged everything. Strength wasn't just in claws. The paths wound through the center, rustic dirt trails lined with high-tech sensors. Drones buzzed overhead, monitoring vitals. Alvarez paused at a control station, pulling up feeds, real-time data, heart rates, movements. Helps us intervene early. Rix leaned in, impressed by the tech's precision, a subtle nod to human ingenuity. As they walked, tension simmered beneath the wonder. Korv's pride clashed with the evidence. These humans commanded nature without violence. Naomi pointed to a recovering eagle in an aviary. "Flight therapy next week. Back to the wild." Jash whispered to Rix. "They lead without fear." Distant smoke curled on the horizon, a thin gray thread against the blue sky. Alvarez glanced at it briefly, frowning, but continued the tour. "Questions?" Korv shook his head, but his scar twitched more frequently now. The group circled back to the main hub, animals' calls echoing softly. Alvarez's practical demeanor grounded the visit, his commands to staff crisp over radios. "Feed rotation in 10, he barked into his device. Naomi smiled at the Skarrith. "See? Not conquest. Partnership." Jash's awe deepened, his militaristic view softening. Rix felt it too, the ethos seeping in. Korv remained stoic, but doubt gnawed. As the sun angled lower, Alvarez suggested a closer look at the bears. "Hands-on demo?" Korv hesitated, then nodded. The pace quickened subtly, the air warming, smoke's scent faint but growing. They approached the enclosure, Alvarez unlocking a viewing gate. A bear ambled near, sniffing curiously. "Tranquil now," he said, "but respect the space." Korv stared, vulnerability creeping in. Naomi checked her watch. "Wrapping up soon." Alvarez nodded, eyes on the horizon again. The crisis loomed unspoken, tension building like a storm. The sanctuary's rhythm pulsed, staff hauling supplies, animals shifting in pens. The Skarrith absorbed it, their skepticism eroding. Earth's ecological dance unfolded, wonder laced with impending strain. Alarm shattered the calm suddenly, blaring from speakers. Red lights flashed. Alvarez's tablet lit up with alerts. Wildfire, he snapped, voice cutting through the noise. Evac protocol now. Alarms pierced the air at Haven, sharp and insistent, cutting through the sanctuary's calm. Red lights pulsed from every building, syncing with the wail. Dry winds whipped up from the west, carrying the acrid tang of burning brush. Wildfires raced toward the center, flames devouring the horizon's edge. Staff froze for a split second, then burst into motion. Alvarez's face hardened, tablet in hand, scanning alerts. Evac now, Alvarez barked, voice cutting like a blade. All animals to safe zones, 10 miles north. Trucks ready in 2. He pointed to loading docks, where vehicles idled, engines growling. 120 creatures needed moving. Wolves, bears, lions, birds. No time for debate. Naomi's eyes widened, but she nodded, rallying nearby staff. Korv stood stunned, his scales prickling as chaos erupted. Rix and Jash flanked him, claws flexing instinctively. They were warriors, bred for battle, not this earthly frenzy. Alvarez thrust a stack of cages their way. You 3, wolves first. Carry them to the trucks. Careful, they're stressed. Korv's jaw tightened, handed orders like a subordinate, but the fire's roar grew louder, pushing him forward. Rix grabbed a cage, hesitating as a wolf inside snarled, eyes wild. Fear gripped him, memories of Skarrith hunts flashing. These beasts could tear flesh. Move, Alvarez snapped. Firm but steady. Rix swallowed, lifting the weight, muscles straining. He followed the path to the trucks, smoke already stinging his eyes. Jash moved beside him, silent, adapting quicker. Jash turned to a sedated bear, its massive form slumped in a reinforced crate. He helped Alvarez strap it down, ropes biting into his palms. Humans dashed around, unflinching amid the panic. One vet injected a final dose, calm as if brewing coffee. Jash marveled quietly. Bravery here wasn't in claws, but in quiet resolve. How do you stand it? He muttered. Alvarez grunted. Practice. Now tighten that. Smoke thickened fast, curling like fingers through the trees. Visibility dropped to 50 feet, turning the world gray and hazy. Firefighters arrived in waves, geared up with masks and hoses. Radios crackled with precision. Sector 3 clear. Push to 4. Winds at 15 knots. Commands flew, a web of coordination. No shouts, just efficient clips. The fire's heat pressed in. A distant rumble building. Naomi veered off, spotting a bus from the Institute pulling up. Children piled out, wide-eyed but orderly, faces smudged from earlier games. This way, she called, her voice calm, lulling like a story. Stay together. Hold hands. She guided them to a clearing. Away from the smoke's path, one girl clutched a stuffed animal, trembling. Naomi knelt. We'll be fine, just like the games we played. Her words steadied them, an anchor in the swirl. A firefighter paused amid the rush, helmet slick with sweat. Heat baked his face through the visor, flames licking closer. He trusted the team. Years of drills kicking in. Lives hung in their sink. One hose misplaced, and it all crumbled. He adjusted his grip, pushing forward, embers dancing like fireflies. Korv coughed hard, smoke clawing his throat as he hauled a wolf cage. The animal paced inside, growling low, his arrogance frayed under Alvarez's lead. each order a blow to pride. Faster, Alvarez urged, not mocking, just urgent. Korv's scar burned, but he pressed on, legs pumping. Humans commanded this storm, not with force, but plans etched deep. Urgency surged through the sanctuary, pace ramping like a heartbeat. Trucks revved, loaded with crates. Staff called counts. Wolves in. Bears next. Flames crested a ridge, 30 feet high now, roaring defiance. Alvarez directed Korv to a trapped pen, testing limits. The Marshal faced the heat. Vulnerability raw. Rix and Jash hauled gear, smoke choking, but following. Naomi's group boarded safely, her calm unbroken. The fire intensified, embers raining, the roar drowning thoughts. Alvarez's voice cut through. Lion next. Move. Korv met the beast's gaze, unarmed, world tilting. The fire's roar swallowed all other sounds. A relentless bellow, shaking Haven's core. Flames leapt 30 feet, clawing at the sanctuary's main facility, their orange glow painting the smoke-choked sky. Embers fell like burning snow, sizzling on the dirt paths. Alvarez stood at the heart of it, tablet flashing alerts, his voice steady despite the chaos. Lion pen now, he ordered, pointing Korv toward a reinforced enclosure. The Marshal froze, his blue-black scales reflecting the fire's dance. A mountain lion paced inside, eyes gleaming, trapped by a jammed gate. Korv's claws twitched, his warrior instincts screaming to retreat. Unarmed, facing a beast in this inferno? On Skarrith, he'd have struck first. Alvarez met his gaze, unflinching. It's scared, not hostile. Free it, or it dies. Korv's scar burned, pride warring with the human's command. He nodded curtly, stepping forward. The gate's lock groaned under his strength, metal screeching as he yanked it open. The lion bolted, guided by a handler into a waiting crate. Korv exhaled, heart pounding, vulnerability raw in his chest. Rix and Jash hauled equipment alongside firefighters, their armored forms slick with sweat and ash. Rix's muscles ached as he dragged a hose, smoke stinging his eyes. Firefighters moved like a unit, their radios a lifeline of clipped orders. North flank holding, divert to the east. Rix marveled at their calm, no panic, just purpose. He glanced at Jash, who steadied a bear crate on a truck teetering on uneven ground. The vehicle lurched, wheels spinning in the dirt. Jash's quick reflexes caught the crate's edge, muscles straining to hold it. Got it, he grunted, earning a nod from a nearby vet. Naomi shepherded the last of the Institute children to a safe zone, her voice a soothing thread through the haze. She glanced back, heart heavy with fear for the animals, yet trust in Alvarez's team held firm. Her glasses fogged from the heat, but she wiped them clear, directing a straggling boy to the bus. Stay low, she called, her tone steady, masking the dread. The fire's heat pressed closer, a wall of force testing their resolve. The sanctuary pulsed with urgency, every second a gamble. Embers sparked on crates, forcing quick slaps to douse them. A firefighter, face blackened under his helmet, felt the blaze's weight on his shoulders. His team's rhythm was his anchor, years of drills distilled into this moment. He sprayed a stream of water, holding a line against the advancing flames, trusting the others to cover his flank. Korv joined Rix, hauling a final wolf cage to the trucks. Smoke clawed his throat, his arrogance crumbling under the weight of human coordination. Alvarez's orders were law here, not his rank. Last pens, Alvarez shouted, pointing to a bird aviary. Korv moved, claws gripping mesh, freeing panicked eagles. Their wings beat wildly, but handlers guided them into carriers. Rix followed, his fear of the animals fading, replaced by awe at the humans' relentless drive. Jash, now at the trucks, secured a bear crate, ropes biting his palms. How do they do this? He muttered to a firefighter, who shrugged. Training. Heart. Jash nodded, scales relaxing. Skarrith fought for glory. Humans fought for life. The distinction hit hard. The fire's roar peaked, flames licking the facility's edge. Alvarez scanned his tablet. 120 animals accounted for, but the main building smoked, beams groaning. Clear out, he yelled. The team moved as one, trucks rolling out, tires crunching gravel. Korv carried a final crate, coughing, his pride buried under ash. Rix and Jash kept pace, their warrior instincts yielding to the humans' lead. Naomi boarded the last bus, counting heads. The children huddled, quiet now, sensing the stakes. She offered a smile, hiding her racing pulse. We're okay, she said, voice soft but firm. The driver gunned the engine, pulling away as flames kissed the tree line. The convoy sped toward the safe zone, 12 miles out. Embers trailed them, but the fire's grip weakened. Alvarez rode in the lead truck, eyes on the road, tablet still buzzing. Korv sat beside a caged wolf, its eyes meeting his. For the first time, he saw not a beast, but a life preserved. The sanctuary receded, smoke curling into the sky. The climax broke, tension easing as the convoy cleared the danger. Exhaustion settled in, but the fight wasn't over, just shifting to reflection. The convoy rolled into the safe zone, a wide field 12 miles from Haven, where the air was clear and the fire's roar faded to a distant murmur. Starlight pierced the night, casting soft shadows over the trucks and buses. 120 animals, from wolves to eagles, were safe, their crates stacked carefully on the grass. Haven's main facility smoldered in memory, its beams charred but standing. Alvarez hopped from the lead truck, tablet in hand, counting crates with a quick sweep. All accounted for, he said, voice rough from smoke. Relief flickered in his eyes, though exhaustion weighed his shoulders. Korv slumped beside a wolf crate, scales streaked with ash. The wolf inside lay calm, its breathing steady, a stark contrast to the chaos hours before. He stared at it, his scar twitching less now, as if the fire had burned away some of his pride. The human's relentless drive, planning, caring, acting, had upended his view of strength. Skarrith fought for dominance. Humans fought for life itself. He exhaled slowly, the weight of it sinking in. Naomi stepped off the bus, her glasses smudged, but her posture steady. The children, now safe, clustered nearby, whispering about the fire. She knelt by a girl clutching a stuffed bear. We saved the real ones, Naomi said, her voice soft, lulling. The girl nodded, fear easing. Naomi's own fear lingered. Haven's losses were real, but the team's unity held her steady. She glanced at Alvarez, who gave a curt nod, their silent bond forged in crisis. Rix approached Naomi, his broad frame less rigid now. Skarrith would have fled, he admitted, voice low, abandoned those creatures to the flames. His scales shifted, a sign of discomfort. Naomi tilted her head. You didn't flee today. Rix looked away, the human's words cutting deeper than he expected. Jash, nearby, wiped ash from his claws and turned to Alvarez. How do you face this chaos without fear? His tone was earnest, no trace of Skarrith bravado. Alvarez, checking a crate, paused. We train. We plan. We care. That's our strength. His matter-of-fact delivery hit Jash like a revelation. Strength wasn't in claws, but in systems, in heart. Across Brookhaven, news of the rescue spread. Miss Celine sat in her quiet home, midnight purring on her lap, the TV flickering with footage of Haven's convoy. Pride swelled in her chest, not just for the animals, but for her community's grit. Neighbors had rallied. Firefighters had risked all. She hugged Midnight tighter, a small piece of the biosphere safe in her arms. The safe zone hummed with quiet activity. Staff checked animals, offering water and sedatives. Firefighters debriefed, radios now silent, their faces etched with fatigue but resolve. One, helmet off, felt the night's cool air on his sweat-soaked skin. The fire was contained. The line held. His team's trust had carried them through, a silent pact stronger than any flame. Korv shifted, standing slowly. The wolf's eyes met his again, calm but piercing. He thought of his boasts at Argus Station, how hollow they seemed now. Humans didn't conquer. They preserved, organized, and led. Rix and Jash joined him, their silence heavy with shared lessons. This world, Jash murmured. It's more than we thought. Alvarez approached. Tablet dimmed. We'll rebuild, he said, more to himself than the group. Haven's taken hits before. Naomi nodded, her enthusiasm returning. And we'll keep teaching, keep saving. Her words carried a quiet promise, a thread connecting the crisis to tomorrow. The field stretched under the stars, a pocket of peace after the storm. Korv's scales caught the light, softer now, as if the fire had tempered him. He looked to his warriors, then to the humans. We return to Argus soon, he said, voice low. But first, we speak. Naomi caught his meaning, her glasses glinting. The hearing. Time to set things right. Alvarez grunted agreement, already mentally cataloging damages for the report. The Skarrith's misconceptions, born in arrogance, had crumbled in the face of Earth's reality. The convoy's engines idled, ready for the return to civilization. The night's calm wrapped the group, a moment to breathe before the next step. Korv's gaze lingered on the wolf, its quiet strength mirroring the humans. The lesson wasn't just survival, it was stewardship, a power he'd never grasped until now. The shuttle lifted from Earth's surface, engines humming softly as it pierced the atmosphere. Argus Station loomed ahead, its sleek form orbiting the distant star, a beacon of interstellar diplomacy. The hearing chamber awaited, its walls glowing with soft, diffused lights that bathed the room in a serene hue. 12 species representatives gathered around a circular table, holographic displays flickering with agendas. Ambassador Reed stood at one end, suit impeccable, his salt and pepper hair catching the glow. Korv entered with Rix and Jash, their scales cleaned of ash, but the fire's lessons etched deep. The convening began with a low chime, drawing attention. Reed cleared his throat, voice calm and laced with subtle sarcasm. Marshal Korv, your claims about Terra sparked quite the discussion. Care to revisit them? Murmurs rippled through the room, eyes on the Skarrith leader. Korv stepped forward, his towering frame less imposing now. Scar a faint reminder of old battles. Humility softened his gaze. I erred, he admitted, voice steady, but low. Earth is no conquered death world. We saw beasts, but misunderstood. Humans thrive not by claw, but by wisdom. Rix and Jash nodded silently, their respect for the humans evident in their postures. Reed nodded, pulling up a holographic document. Then let's formalize this. The biosphere governance and cultural exchange memorandum. The text scrolled in multiple languages, outlining shared knowledge on ecosystems, crisis response, and mutual aid. It pledges cooperation. Skarrith learn Earth's ways. We share in yours. Korv scanned the clauses, claws hovering over the signature pad. No hesitation this time. He pressed down, the document sealing with a soft beep. We pledge it, he said. Your world teaches stewardship. We will learn. The room exhaled collectively, tensions easing like smoke dispersing. Naomi Park, standing beside Reed, adjusted her glasses. Humans are apex not for violence, she shared, her tone warm and reflective, but for stewardship. We organize, preserve, and co-govern our biosphere. Her words hung in the air, a final thread weaving the journey's lessons. Rix leaned forward, his broad shoulders relaxed. We asked to return, he said, voice earnest, for further study. Your institute, your sanctuaries. Jash echoed him. And the people, to understand more. Their respect shone through, a far cry from their initial arrogance. Caleb Brooks, patched in via hologram from Brookhaven, grinned broadly. Heck yeah, come back. I'll fire up the grill again. Teach you how to pet a dog without jumping. Laughter bubbled up, light and genuine. Reed chuckled. Careful, Caleb. They might conquer the burgers next. The satirical edge returned, easing the formal air. The hearing room's soft lights pulsed gently, symbolizing the peace forged. Diplomats exchanged nods, the memorandum a bridge between worlds. Korv met Reed's eyes. Your power lies in unity, he said quietly. Reed smiled faintly. And yours in learning it. As the session wrapped, the Skarrith delegation prepared to depart. Rix whispered to Jash, Earth changes everything. Jash agreed, scales glinting under the lights. Korv lingered, staring at the stars through a viewport. Humans as biosphere administrators, not mere survivors. That view reshaped his empire's lens. Naomi shook hands with them. Safe travels. More to share soon. Alvarez, via comms, added a gruff. Bring gear next time. We'll need help rebuilding. The connections formed in fire held firm. The shuttle detached, pulling toward Skarrith space. Korv settled in, mind replaying the wildfire, the pets, the children. Strength redefined. Reed watched from the station, a small smile playing. The galaxy shifted subtly, one misunderstanding at a time. Back on Earth, Brookhaven slumbered under stars. Dogs barking faintly, cats prowling. The biosphere hummed on. Humans its quiet guardians. The Skarrith carried that truth home. Embryos of alliance planted deep.